Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia episode 19. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back and we are playing with power. Ryan, my man, how is it going? Are you ready for the Switch?
I am beyond ready. Like, I have internal screaming, and it's starting to come to the surface. I'm, like, screaming on my drive home, like, so excited. I can't keep it in.
Oh, my gosh, dude. I mean, I'm stoked just because, well, it's like I took basically a 5-day weekend or 4-day weekend because I got Friday off, and then I got Monday off. So my week's already short. So today was, like, my Wednesday for the week. So, because Thursday will be my Friday, because once I clock out of there, I'm done, and I am just all Switch focused. And then I actually go back to work next Tuesday, but then I'll be off next Wednesday for my daughter's birthday. So it's kind of a 5-day weekend with a little 1-day go back to work kind of thing. But so I'm excited. I am just super thrilled. But, I also want to get someone else's opinion here, because everybody, guess what? We have a special guest with us today. He asked to be on the show just recently, and we actually didn't have a guest plan. So this is very exciting. The fact that someone wanted to come on our show, we didn't have to beg them and pay them some money like we've had all these other guests. So
we're looking at you, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. So everybody, give it up for our special guest, James Mykolajewski. I probably messed it up.
Mykolajewski. You were close. It's okay.
But wait a minute. Yes.
I was told my check was in the mail. I mean, what's up with that?
I'll talk to you after the show about that one.
Sure.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm so glad you could join us.
I'm very glad to be here. When I heard about the topic tonight, I'm like, I got to get in on that.
Well, we are honored and just blessed to have you on. Glad that you wanted to join. How about Switch, man? How you feeling?
I'm so hyped. I'm so excited. I've had it on pre-order. Actually, I have my receipt sitting here on my computer desk. I'm ready to roll. I've had it pre-ordered for a while. And I've been counting down the days because I'm worried. You hear about all these cancellations happening, and I'm like, oh no. Every day I'm thinking, is it going to get canceled today? But now they've taken my money out. Now it says it's getting ready for shipment, so it's getting close.
Oh yeah, I got mine all paid off, so I'm good.
Here. Awesome. Yeah, I had to get mine through GameStop's website because it was the only place left by the time I could pre-order.
Ryan actually works at GameStop, and he took a man in my place because I had to go to work the day after the event. So Ryan went there, and he pre-ordered mine, had his buddy pre-order everything I wanted. They actually messed up our Zelda orders because we ordered the Master Edition.
Oh, no.
Or what we thought. It was online only, but they didn't tell us that.
No, they marked it down as if that's what we put. And then they come back and tell us later, oh, yeah, you don't have that. So it's like it was essentially all their fault because if they would have told us that, we would have done it the right way. And they didn't.
Yeah. Well, that Zelda edition, it was like, what, $200? I mean, it was
I think 120.
Yeah.
120, 130 in there.
Man,
yeah.
Not cheap.
No, not cheap. So, I mean, whatever. It allowed me to get some other stuff that I needed, So we still got the special edition. But they also, Ryan's GameStop is actually in the mall on the south side of Indianapolis here. So they can't do a midnight release.
Oh, yeah.
Which they originally thought they might be able to. So now we actually won't get our Switches until 9 a.m. on Friday morning. So, I mean, it's okay because I would honestly be up all day working at work, 10-hour day, and I would be tired by the time I got at midnight, and I probably wouldn't play it that much that night anyway. So I'm okay with it.
And for getting mine shipped, I don't know when it's going to arrive, right? I mean, it could arrive anywhere between like 11 a.m. and like 6 p.m. So I've got a really big window. Now, my brother-in-law, actually interesting, he wasn't able to pre-order one, and so he wants me to go with him Thursday night, midnight to our local GameStop. So I'm going with him. He's going to try to get one. While I'm there, if they're available, and I doubt it, but if they're available, I'm going to try to get a Pro Controller. Or because I figure I'm either going to get a Pro Controller or all red Joy-Cons, whichever one is there. If they're there, I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping.
They might be. I know a buddy of ours. He didn't pre-order the Switch. He actually got in on the hype because he started listening to our show, and he hasn't been into games in a long time like this. And our show actually is just kind of like gotten him all excited about Nintendo again. And he wants to go out, and he's going to go. There's a Fry's Electronics around here, and they have like 60 in stock, but they didn't do any pre-orders. So,
oh wow,
he's going to get there like super early and wait in line because it's all based.
Madhouse. That's what
it's gonna, yeah. It's going to be crazy. I think Target was the same way, right? I think I heard Target didn't do pre-orders or something like that, and they're having like 40, 50 units per store.
Yeah,
which is pretty great. And actually, speaking of pre-orders, the co-host on my show, Josh Brandt, he didn't pre-order one either. But because he's been a PlayStation guy for a long time, and what makes me feel like Switch is going to make a difference for the first time in a long time, he's excited for a Nintendo console. He hasn't purchased a Nintendo console since the Nintendo 64, so it's been a while. So I guess my other co-host, Chris White on our show, because he's got, I want to say 5 kids. He's got a lot of kids.
Wow.
So he ordered multiple Switches, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to break each one of them, right?
So he had all these extra Switches, and Josh asked Chris, can I have one of your pre-orders? So Chris actually set up one of his pre-orders to go to him. So now he, a PlayStation fanboy for many, many years, is finally getting back on Nintendo.
Awesome.
So he's actually excited. So this is the first time in a long time where I feel like non-Nintendo fans are actually talking about a Nintendo console in a good way.
Yes.
I've got people at work that are talking to me about it. Like, they bring it up to me. It's like, hey, what about that Switch? When's it coming out? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's coming out Friday. And they're like, yeah, man, I've got to get that. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't realize they won't be able to till April, but, you know.
Yeah.
I don't break that to them, no.
Right.
To capitalize on that, that's the biggest thing I've noticed with the Switch is that I've heard many people who have not played Nintendo since like the 64, the Super Nintendo, or the GameCube, and they fell off and went to Sony or Microsoft, and they're just like, but I'm going to get the Switch, you know. And to me, that tells me Nintendo's doing things right. I think they're advertising right. I think they're hitting it strongly. So,
I mean, they even had a Super Bowl commercial. So
right, first time ever.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and let's get into the news. James, you are our guest today, so I would like go ahead and tell us what you brought to the table.
Man, there's so much that happened today. There's this little event going on. I don't know if you've heard about it, the Nindy Showcase.
Yes, sir.
Where it was kind of a Nintendo Direct, but wasn't really called Nintendo Direct. We talked about a whole bunch of indie games. I mean, there were so many big surprises on this list. I'm just trying to think of which, because I just want to talk about one game. I'm trying to think of which one to talk about because there's just so many good ones on there.
Yeah.
Man, one that actually caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting at all. They're making Bit Trip Runner 3. I had no idea they were going to do that because, I mean, Bit Trip Runner 1 and 2 were great, on the Wii U. And just to see a third one, because I thought a third one would never happen. But I'm actually really excited that one is still coming.
What do you think about the 3D elements that they show him going in like an elevator? And what do you think about that? Like, have they done that in the previous games? I haven't played them yet.
No, I mean, it's always kind of been like a 3D side scroller pretty much. It's actually kind of cool if you watch the trailers because he'll go from like a 3D world to like almost like a cartoony 2D world and back again, which is something brand new. I mean, it's kind of like they're mixing old and new. They're putting humor in there. I mean, all the other games had humor in them. I'm trying to remember who the narrator was in 2. I want to say it was the guy that voices SpongeBob SquarePants, I think.
Really?
So, yeah. So, I mean, they've always had humor in the games and special cameos from like other games. Like it had Raz from Psychonauts. I'm trying to think who else was in the other ones. So they do have guest stars in there. So I kind of hope the third one does that as well.
Very nice.
It's always cool to see all these indies kind of help each other out.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Just I'll let you guys talk about what you guys got to talk about, and then I'll get into mine. So I had something on that subject, but I'll hold it.
I mean, I don't have much to say. I never really played the first two. Mm-hmm. I mean, I actually had just watched because I was at work when it happened, so I listened to everything. I just kind of skimmed through everything while I was waiting for our show to start tonight. But I did see that, and it looked appealing. It looked I thought the graphics were really good, and the art was really cool about it. So it does look like an interesting game. I would have to test it out because I've never played it. Like I said,
sure. I mean, it's just pretty much it's all just a music rhythm game, right? So you're jumping and sliding and doing things to the rhythm of the music. So pretty much any of those, any of the, I mean, I guess Rock Band in a sense, or Parappa the Rapper, like any of those musical games. If you enjoy those, you'll enjoy this.
Okay, very cool. Ryan, what about you, man? Go on ahead. What's your topic for the day?
My topic, something I didn't expect to come out at all, and they mentioned it in the Nindy Direct, and it was this little game called Pocket Rumble, and it uses the HD Rumble, and it's just this retro fighter, like this 8-bit, 16-bit, what have you, like fighter game, but like the controls looked like there was a lot of complexity to them, and like if you got hit by like a strong attack, you'd actually feel that more so than just like a light attack with the HD Rumble, and I thought that is perfect. It's something you can just pick up and play really quickly. And I was like, yeah, that really speaks to me. And I don't even know why. I'm not a big fighting game person. Like I play Tekken and Smash Brothers. That's about it. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. It actually kind of go on a side note off of that. One interesting thing about the Nindy Showcase, almost every single game they talked about has HD Rumble. So like all these indie companies are using it to its full extent, which is actually really, really cool. Good. I just remember they mentioned Overcooked, which has been out for a while. But on the Switch version, like I said, you can feel every chop that you make, or you feel the soup sloshing around as you carry it. I'm like, it's really cool.
I can't wait to feel what that's like. I can't even imagine what HD Rumble's like, but I can just like play it up in my mind. Like I can imagine just a little bit. I could try, but
yeah, I really hope it. I hope all these gaming companies, third parties to indie, really take advantage of HD Rumble because it definitely seems like something that's great that's there, and it can totally be used in such the right way. It's really just like how the regular Rumble back in the 64 days like revolutionized everything. Like I want this to do the same thing. Like this will be the new standard, and this is one of the hooks that you're going to get with games that feel better. Like. On Nintendo Switch as opposed to playing on a PS4 or an Xbox, So I do like all that. My overall thoughts for the Nindy Direct was, honestly, I told Ryan, I was texting him today after it all, and there's no secret on this show that I am like ecstatic for ukulele. Okay. I want this game. I would buy it. I'd cancel my Zelda pre-order if I could get this game in an amiibo line if it came down to it. And I said I wish they would have ended it with that because then I would have actually paid attention to everything else a lot more. But they started it out with pretty much ukulele, and I was just really disappointed. And I'm not mad at Nintendo. I'm not blaming Nintendo. I'm not mad at Playtonic Games. I'm frustrated because it's like basically all they said was it's coming soon. I'm like, great. I already knew it was coming to the Switch. Playtonic already announced that, weeks ago that they were bringing it to the Switch. I get that. I want to know when's it coming out. Like, I just always feel this burnt. Like I want this game so bad. Like I was watching the trailer before this, and I'm teared up just thinking about it. I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook, I posted about it, and this is my favorite style of game. And we at Nintendo, since Nintendo lost Rare, like there's been tons of great games that maybe we would have never gotten Metroid Prime trilogy if Rare never got sold because Nintendo really dived into retro to kind of replace Rare. So we got a lot of great games, but at the same time, we haven't had this Rare magic in decades, over a decade. And that was my favorite style of game. My favorite style of game is the cartoony goofiness, and just the 3D platformer in general, So like Mario Odyssey, I'm so stoked about because like everyone wanted Mario Galaxy 3, and I'm like, no, Lord, please, no, I don't want it in our Galaxy 3. It's not the same, We had Galaxy 2, that's good enough. I wanted another 64 Sunshine feeling, and we're getting that, and I'm so stoked about it. So that's so happy, maybe so happy.
I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, I'm the same way. I've always been a 3D platformer guy like that. Yeah. If anyone says, what's your sweet spot in gaming? That's where it's always been for me. I've always been the 3D platform guy, and like the collectathon games, like said, the Banjo-Kazooie and Spyro the Dragon and all the like those games. So good.
How old are you, James?
I am almost 32.
Almost 32. And everyone's older than us. I feel
man, you'll get here one day.
I mean, you're not that old, but like I was even talking to Mark Kevin from the Warp Whistle podcast just yesterday, and he's like, I'm 32, and I'm like, yeah. I keep thinking everyone's like close, besides Bobby Pauls, because he's like 40. He's like really old.
We love you, Bobby.
Yeah, we like Bobby. I just feel like everyone's like my age or close to it, and I guess not, because I'm 26. Ryan's just a couple years older than me, but no, I guess we grew up in that sweet spot of when 3D platforming came out, and it was great, and. Banjo, it's no secret. Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite game of all time. Number one, hands down, nothing beats it in my book. And you can blame that on my nostalgia with it. But we lost them, and when we lost Rare, a part of my heart was gone. Like I remember feeling so depressed. And I'm only a Nintendo guy. I don't play any of their systems, but there was a long time when Nuts and Bolts got announced and before we found out how terrible it was. Like I was this close to getting an Xbox literally just so I could get Banjo-Kazooie to get the updated versions of the old games and Nuts and Bolts. And then I think I accidentally almost buy the system. I was going to borrow my friend's system and I was going to buy the game actually. And that was it. But then I found out how bad the game was, and it was nothing like it. And then I just said, "See you later." Never got it. So,
speaking of that, though, I will say the Rare, what's it called? Rare Replay on Xbox One has all the Banjo games. And it's got Cameo and all those. Those games are great. They still hold up.
I'm sure.
I was tempted to get an Xbox One just for the Rare collection.
I just can't do it. I mean, I actually thought about buying just that game just to have it, and I would never play it, just because I support Rare. I like Rare. I don't like Microsoft. That's no secret if you know me. I don't really like Microsoft very much. But back to my main point is I really want this game back on the Switch so bad, and it's just hard because like I want to know when it's coming out, and I was really hoping like, oh, they're on the Indies, and I knew that there was going to be Yuka on the announcement, so I'm like thinking, okay, great. Well, what do they want to tell us, And they're just like, it's coming soon. I'm like, I knew that. Yeah. I knew that already. And even besides this, David Wise, I love David Wise, love Donkey Kong Country music, but I don't like the trailer music they even showed off. Like it's supposed to be a Banjo-Kazooie-esque, and that was more of the Donkey Kong Country side of things because, David Wise and Grant Kirkhope actually are putting music together in this, and they chose a David Wise song. And I'm like, no, like do a banjo-sounding song. Show up what this game is. The only thing that this trailer did was finally Nintendo themselves acknowledged ukulele is coming to our system, whereas you've seen PlayStation and Xbox like put it on their online stores and advertise it, and like I think like PlayStation sent out like a sample CD music track of the stuff, or people who have it on get PlayStation stuff. So, any other thoughts? Like Ryan, what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't expect there to be any kind of release date. I think that they're still a bit behind in getting this game out. So I think we'll find something out in the next couple of months, but probably nothing like before, definitely not before the Switch launch, probably not within the first month. But I was really excited, like touching on like, indie developers working together and sharing characters. Like I saw a video today. I didn't even know this was coming, But I guess Shovel Knight appears in Yooka-Laylee and like interacts with them, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like, I was like, "What? Really? I never expected
Breaking
that."
news! 6-month-old news. You get it straight here from
I know. I was living
nostalgia.
under a rock. I wasn't reading anything on Yooka-Laylee, so this is my first exposure to it. So
Yeah, that was like right after E3 or something like that. They announced that somewhere around
I
there.
got so excited when I found that out. I'm like, yes, this is so cool. Like, I want to see more of these cameos crossovers. It's gonna be great.
It's cool. I guess my biggest fear ultimately with the game of why I don't like that we don't know if there's going to be a physical release yet and there's not an official launch date for the Switch is I just feel like, and I don't think they're going to do it, but I just feel like Nintendo always gets the crappy end of the stick. Like you see with third-party developers, like I didn't play these games like Watch Dogs. Like it was like terrible on the Nintendo. You know, it's like they didn't try. It was a cheap ported version of the game. I don't even think they got Watch Dogs 2. Like they're just mistreated, and I just feel like Nintendo's the kid that everyone wants to pick on. And again, I know Playtonic said they love Nintendo. I don't think they're trying to do that. It's just this game means so much to me that's how I worry about those things. And maybe I shouldn't, but I just hate that we're getting it later than everyone else. We're late to the party again, you know. So I'm just on my soapbox here. Sorry about that, but basically, because the first announcement ruined the rest of the Nindies for me, so I didn't really pay too much attention to everything else. But no, there is some good stuff coming. And James, are you as upset about this? Is this as like earth-shattering to you as it is to me?
Well, I know that for Yooka-Laylee, didn't they say an announced date sometime in April for Xbox One and PS4, I believe?
Yeah,
right?
April
They gave an
11th.
actual announced date. But actually, thinking back over the Nindy showcase, I don't think they gave dates on anything. They were very vague in everything. They would say March, they would say April, they would say summer. I don't think any of the games had any kind of release date attached to them.
Okay. That's refreshing.
But honestly, I will say just overall of the showcase in general, I went into it thinking we weren't going to get anything. I'm like, they're just going to show what we already know. They're going to show Fast RMX. They're going to show, I'm trying to think, Binding of Isaac. They're going to show all these games you already know about. And it was 20 minutes of outside Yooka-Laylee, all unannounced, brand new stuff. Like 90% of the stuff was exclusive or was timed exclusive.
Sure.
With exclusive Switch features. I mean, we had debut trailers like Flipping Death with the Zoink Games guys. I mean, we've had them on our show a couple times. Zoink Games are awesome. I mean, Zombie Vikings, Stick It to the Man, so many good games. And Flipping Death looked amazing. I didn't even know that was coming. I mean, there were so many great debut trailers in it overall. But I do agree. I think the date thing on everything was just not cool.
No, you're right. And they did say very soon on Yooka-Laylee. I will highlight that. He said very soon. He didn't say some he said like later in 2017 or this year 2017. He did say very soon. So
and I know, Jacob, you've got your fingers crossed that it comes out before the other two
that's not
console
gonna
releases.
happen.
We're on the same day.
You never know. I mean, they even said when they made it for their love of Nintendo. So I mean,
Right.
you know.
That's why it's frustrating.
Either come out before on the launch day, but include exclusives to Nintendo.
I really hope they have an amiibo.
Amiibo support.
Yeah.
They said they want to do amiibo. I mean, if you follow Playtonic as close as I do, like they've said all this stuff, and their love for Nintendo is apparent. And ultimately, I just hope that I really want Nintendo to buy out Playtonic one day and make them a strong second party or first party developer.
That would be amazing.
Just like what Rare was. You would get new Donkey Kong countries, you would get Yuka and that universe, and we'd finally get a true successor to Diddy Kong Racing 2 that we've all wanted all these years. Absolutely. So, but sorry, this is not a Yooka-Laylee Playtonic episode. So I will get.
It could be.
We will get there. We will get there. Trust me, I have some Banjo-Kazooie plans coming up. I've been prepping. Oh, something is cooking is good. So, okay, I guess my topic, it wasn't Yooka-Laylee and Playtonic. My topic was yesterday, Monday, I get like all these podcasts come shuffling in to start my new week off at work, and I listen literally all day long to podcasts. And And James, one of yours was on there too. And
Wonderful.
one thing I noticed.
Apologize in advance.
No, it was pretty good. I love your show. One thing I noticed and surprised me, the Monday before Switch comes out, I have heard more hate and negativity towards the Switch than I had heard in weeks. Like everyone's like nitpicking and freaking out the last moment of everything.
Nintendo doomed, man. Haven't you heard? Nintendo doomed.
Oh, of course. Yeah, according to everyone else. But it's like I've heard people like saying like, "Oh, I almost canceled my pre-order because this," and I almost canceled my pre-order because the ukulele didn't have an official release date. Not really. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But that's the kind of stuff I hear, and like, oh, Nintendo's done a terrible job with this and that. But besides me, everyone's going to label me as the fanboy who doesn't like anyone else but Nintendo. I'm fair to them. I call them out when it's needed. But I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how do you think that they have handled this launch, building up to it, everything they've told us. Have they done a good job? Give them a scale out of 1 to 10. James, you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess for this, I would probably give it. Man, I mean, it's been really good. I would probably say an 8. I mean, just because there's always room for improvement, right?
Sure.
And if you look back at the official reveal back in when was that January? I mean, time flies, right? When they
October was the trailer.
Right, but I'm talking about when they did the big live show.
Yeah, January.
Right? Yep. January. And I mean, it was great. Learned about it. We got price, we got date, but I felt like the flow of the overall show kind of killed some of the moment, just a little bit of the momentum. But I mean, overall, it's been fantastic. I mean, we've got, amazing games coming. Almost everything that's coming everywhere else, at least, as far as indie games go, and a lot of third-party stuff we know is coming to Switch, which is great. They're doing a great advertising campaign because, like we talked about earlier, people that don't game know about the Switch.
Yes.
So I think they're doing a great job. It's way better than the Wii U. I mean, if you remember the Wii U, people, the entire life cycle of the system thought the Wii U was just an add-on to the Wii. People still believe that. So at least with Switch, I think they're absolutely on the right track.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Ryan?
I give it a 7. I like how they did the teaser trailer in October, and January I think was a big flop as far as things just didn't quite gel right. The whole fiasco with the translation in Suda, and I think that slowed things down. But then I was completely blown away by all the marketing they're doing after this. I mean, just the Kids' Choice Awards. There's posters up all over subways, and there's commercials in Super Bowl and during primetime TV, and they've got freaking John Cena to do their touring around and everything.
Celebrity,
which is odd. They chose someone that you can't see, but whatever. I'm really, really excited that they're just hammering it so hard, and they're really, really marketing in the right places, I think. And it's really loud, it's really aggressive, and that's why it redeems them from their botched presentation, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I guess my overall is I give them an 8. I think an 8's a fair number. I do think I can live with the live show, whatever. I know there was weak points. And I really would have wanted to see more games than what they showed. But in general, I think I was talking to somebody just yesterday about this. I feel like Nintendo, there is a distinct difference between the Nintendo that was ran in the 90s under their first president. How do you pronounce his last name? I can't. Yamaguchi. Yeah. He didn't even play video games. He was actually pretty, I guess, intimidating to be around. He was just a strict, big Japanese man. Then Iwata took things, and he was a little different. I want to say he was kind of more passive aggressive. You saw him take this Blue Ocean route, and I don't diminish Iwata. I really enjoyed him. I was really sad when he passed away. I think he did amazing things for Nintendo. You can't argue when the man makes a DS and the Wii, and it makes bigger numbers than they had in years. You can't argue with the money they brought in and the success they had. But ultimately, how I feel about him and his choices, I think his choices got immediate success and led to drastic declining at the end. And you saw a different Nintendo, whereas the Nintendo I think I fell in love with as a kid was that 90s Nintendo. And they it was get in or get out. They were punching in the face. They were taking on Sega. Like, we are here to play it loud. They were just a lot more. You saw them advertising a lot more. They were just a lot more aggressive. They weren't afraid to take chances. They were competing with the competition head on, and they won for the most part, at least against Sega. Then Iwata. Yeah, the Ford Dreamcast. and then the Iwata days, they really kind of shifted, and they didn't they left the playground hey, they went to another playground hey, come over here and play in our playground. We don't want to fight with them, and just we're having some fun over here. It was kind of that mindset, but I really think that they've left that playground with the Switch back now under the new president, Kimishima. And I think he is a lot like Yamauchi. He's an old style businessman. And I think he said he wants to expand the IP of Nintendo, really make it well known. And that's what you're seeing. And you're seeing celebrities, like Ryan said, coming back with Nintendo to advertise Nintendo in general. And you're seeing Super Bowl commercials. You're seeing commercials where people are on the toilet playing. I mean, this is that's not your Iwata Nintendo. It's not. And they still not that they're going extreme, they're still a family friendly company. And I love that. And that's what I love about them more than anything. I want them to stay that way, but you can't be afraid to get in the ring and roll with the punches either, And so I really think they're taking on PlayStation and Microsoft again, but in a clever, different way, and, that's how I feel about it. So I definitely think they're doing a good job with the launch. I don't think we can fairly say they did a bad job. They made a lot of people mad because they didn't announce things the way that people thought they should. They still gave us a lot. Look at the list from the launch of the live event, and then look at it today. How many games are on that list? How many launch day one games are on that list now compared to that first list we saw? There's a lot more. So I think it's all a testing ground, because this is like you said, they're getting back in the game. So online, all this stuff, they're doing things the Nintendo way, and it ticks everyone off because it's no, you should have told all of this day one, But I really think they've done a very good job, and I do think that they could have done a couple things a little better. But I think they're ultimately doing things the Nintendo way, and that makes some people mad. But ultimately, they're doing a fine job when you look at the overall picture.
Sure. And actually kind of springing off what you were talking about, Yamauchi, his end at Nintendo was the GameCube, right? Yeah. Until the Wii U, the GameCube was the, least successful Nintendo console. And then we get to Iwata, his last console. I mean, he was extremely successful with the Wii and the DS, right? But then his last console was the Wii U, which was the biggest failure Nintendo's ever had. So it's kind of interesting to see everyone they put in that position. They're really successful for a while because they mix things up. They change things. And I completely agree with Iwata being different, because Iwata, he lived Nintendo, right? He was a developer. So he was more of a visionary, like I said, he was the family-friendly developer guy, where Yamauchi and now the new president are very business-minded, so they're much more aggressive. And I think that is really what Nintendo needs right now more than anything, is that aggressiveness to get them back in the ring, to not be forgotten.
Absolutely. You're right. I 100% agree with that. And I think they're on the right path, and it makes me excited. Ryan and I have talked about it past couple episodes. You just see old Nintendo, I think you see it because you see people who left Nintendo, like Grant, coming back, and he's like, I haven't been in since the N64 days. I said the Switch reminds me a lot of the Nintendo 64, like with the games they're putting out, the way they're doing things. even the fact of just having ukulele on, even though they didn't incorporate that, it's just like what timing it works out,
Right.
you know?
And actually, speaking of N64, I just thought of this. It's kind of interesting. They're going back to cartridges while everyone else is still on CDs,
Yes,
just like the N64.
Absolutely. I get so excited just thinking about where Nintendo's at.
Yes.
I am, a lot of things great are happening, and
Switch is revival.
it is.
I really believe that.
And buckle up, because we're not even to E3 yet. And guys, I can only imagine. I feel like there's a long list of games that they are going to announce and steal the show at E3 again.
And that's crazy because we already have Zelda right at the launch, right?
Yep.
And then a month later we got Mario Kart, and then a couple months later we're gonna have Splatoon, and then a few months later, we're gonna get Mario Odyssey. I mean, their first year is insane. I'm in the camp where I think this is probably going to get pushed to 2018, but like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if that comes out this year, like it's mind blowing. All they're missing for me personally is a new Monster Hunter. Once we have that, we have all our bases covered. And we're good.
That, and we need some Metroid. We need some
right. Very true. Very true. We do need some Metroid. Metroid Prime 4. Oh man, if they announce that,
it's been 15 years.
So good. Yes.
This November, it'll be 15 years since the original Prime came out. And I'm ready for new stuff. I really am. And Prime Hunters, Federation Force was okay. It was fun. It was a distraction. But I'm ready for sink my teeth in the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that game would not have been so badly criticized if they actually would have released a real Metroid game beforehand, and then we're like, here's a little side game while we're working on the next game. You know what I mean? Like Triforce Heroes. That's kind of what it was like.
Sure. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I never played Triforce Heroes or Federation Force because you're right, they didn't feel like full games to me. Yeah. It's one of those things where you only have so much money and time for video games, and those are the ones that just kind of got passed over.
That's pretty much me and Donkey Kong games.
Oh man,
okay, you're Ryan. You know what?
Fantastic.
Just get off the show. James is taking over.
Hey, I played Returns. I skipped the good one.
Played like the worst one in the series. Congratulations.
I skipped Tropical Freeze, which I probably shouldn't have.
Many would say Donkey Kong Country 3 is the worst one, although I actually really enjoy Donkey Kong Country 3, but many people say that is the worst one.
I have not played that one yet, believe it or not.
It's probably the worst out of the original trilogy, but
right, yeah.
Returns brought it back, but it didn't do it fully justice. There's a lot of issues with it. I think Donkey Kong Country 2 is the best. I love that game. Love it. And this is not a Donkey Kong Country 2 episode, so before I go on that rant, what have you guys been playing? Ryan, I'll switch around. What are you going for, Ryan? What have you been playing?
Haha, Switch. Got it. I wish. But no, I've been playing Link to the Past. Link to the Past, day and night. I've been just trying to get through it. I'm at Turtle Rock right now. I'm struggling to get through that silly dungeon. I keep dying and having to start back over, and that's just one that's a chore to get back through.
You can stop. That episode was last week, right? You don't have to finish it.
Hey, I went to Tom to at least finish it and give my full opinion with the freshness in my memory. So
Tom's not here. You can hate this game. You don't have to pretend like you like it.
I'm giving it a fair shot. And hopefully I can complete it before the next Zelda comes out.
Well, keep grinding, man, because you got 3 days.
Yeah.
James, how about you? You been playing much?
Oh man, with knowing Breath of the Wild is right there. It's like one of those. It's like an itch you can't scratch, right? Like you just want to play it more than anything. So I'm thinking, what can I play just to take up some time, get out of my way? And so a game I got for Christmas, never even opened. Now this is non-Nintendo. I'll just put that out there right now.
Right.
But Mirror's Edge Catalyst, right? I got that game for Christmas, never even cracked open the wrapper on it, right? It's just been on my shelf. And I'm like, I'm going to knock that out before Breath of the Wild comes out. And according to the little meter, I'm 60-something% through it. So I'll probably finish it. And then other than that, my brother-in-law and I have been playing a lot of Rock Band 4. Just enjoying that. I'm just playing games where I know I can get through them, or like Rock Band. There's not really an end per se, so it's just something to kind of just relax and play. But so right now I'm just counting down to Switch.
Counting down to Switch.
That's right.
Well, it's no secret. I'll update everybody on my status here. I'm still playing Majora's Mask 3D. I have, as of last time I talked to everybody, I have beaten the final boss before Majora. So the twin snake things, and I have gotten all the masks to require me to get the Fierce Deity. Awesome. Now I'm still trying to collect all the heart pieces. There's a bunch I kind of skipped over or even just completely missed. So, and I am using a guide to finish up this stuff, like just because like I need it to beat it before the Switch gets here. So there's the one thing I'm struggling with is like there's 2 empty bottles I still need. And it's like I want the OCD in me wants to 100% the game. I'm like, technically you would need those, but I'm like, it's such a chore to do the tasks I need to. Like I have to race these stupid beavers, and I suck at the swimming mechanics with the Zora in the game. I'm just terrible at it. So that task is like really annoying and hard to do for me. And then the other one, you have to go through a whole 3-day journey just to get the last bottle. So I'm trying to, I don't know if I'll do that. I might, the guilt in me might. We'll see how much time I have after I get my heart pieces. But I'm ready to, I essentially could go kick Majora's butt right now and finish the game off. But trying to at least get all the hearts. So
sure,
that's where I'm at.
Now, I will say, don't feel too bad about the whole Zora swimming thing, because in 3D Zelda, swimming has never been that great. And anything with water temples, always terrible. Doesn't matter what Zelda game you play, water temples, terrible.
I can only imagine the nightmares that Breath of the Wild water temple is going to bring.
Don't even. Can I just say, like, I'm legitimately... I'm scared to play this game. Like, I've never played an open world game like this because Nintendo's never really had one like this. Like, I'm nervous. Like, I hear how hard it is, and not that like I suck at gaming or anything. I don't, but the Zelda games have, in recent years gotten easier to play through. The competitions is harder, and like, the thing is, like, you can go anywhere, and like I'm so afraid I'm just going to get stuck on this one part because I'm stubborn. Like, if I can't beat something, I want to keep playing until I freaking beat it. And like I could be trying to beat something that technically, if this is required like 30 hours later into the game, you should play this part, and I'm like trying to play it like at the start of the game, and like, so I'm nervous. I'm just so nervous to play this game. It's so big. It's just scary to me. In a good way. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? I don't know. I'm afraid like this time next year I'll still be trying to play it because it's so hard. I'm trying to 100% Majora's Mask. I want to probably try to 100% this, and that's just going to be insane. So
yeah, it's going to be over 100 hours probably. I mean, it's just there's just so much to do and so many side quests. Like you said, Nintendo themselves have never put out a game like this. Yeah. I mean, the only thing coming to mind for me, like on the Wii, the first Xenoblade Chronicles, it wasn't made by Nintendo, but it was on exclusive to Nintendo console, and that game took me to finish it. Not even 100%. I think it took me over 90 hours. I mean, normally I don't put that much time into games, right?
I'm playing that.
I ever do that is like Fallout and stuff. Like those games, I put a lot of time into. But yeah, I from what I've heard, this Zelda is going to be very big, very immense. It's going to be huge. Yeah.
Well, and I'm a story guy, so like, my fear is like I'll just want to dive into the story and not do a bunch of the extra stuff that like. And that I'll actually miss out on a lot of things that will help me along my quest to make the game essentially easier, per se, to get through the game. So it's kind of a balance. I don't know. We'll see. We'll cross the bridge when I come to it. That's why we're all here, right? To help each other out through this.
That's right.
This wild game. Well, with that said, guys, I think it is time to get our fans into the last topic of this Zelda adventure. The whole reason James wanted to come on today, we are here at The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. this is how it all begins. During the era of the goddess Hylia, many demons arose in pursuit of the Triforce. The leader Demise, the Demon King, tried to take over the world with his evil powers. After a battle against the demonic forces, Hylia gathered the humans who had survived along with the Triforce onto a plot of land and sent it into the sky. She positioned a heavy barrier of clouds between the island and the sky and the land below to protect the humans and the Triforce. The goddess and the remaining tribes on the surface battled for their lives against Demise. They were victorious, and they sealed him away. The land was saved, but the seal that kept the Demon King imprisoned was weak. In an attempt to destroy Demise, the goddess Hylia tried to use the power of the Triforce. However, a goddess cannot wield its power. Thus, the goddess Hylia decided to renounce her divinity and be reborn as a human. With Hylia's passing, Impa of the Sheikah tribe was entrusted with watching over the sealed prison of the Demon King until she returned. The plot of land Hylia sent into the sky became known as the Isle of the Goddess. The islands in the sky where the surviving humans dwell became known as Skyloft. There, the humans lived with guardian birds, known as loftwings, given to them by Hylia. Only a few individuals on the surface knew of the existence of the goddess in Skyloft. After a few thousand years, their story was forgotten and became legend. So that, everybody, is our intro to Skyward Sword. This game was released on the Wii back on November 20th, 2011. So within this decade. So just to start off the show here, this game has some mixed emotions, and not everyone has played it. Not everyone finished it. So there is, spoiler, just like everything else, we are talking about the game, and we're going to be talking about a lot of spoiler material. So if you want to go back and revisit this game, you have been warned. So with all that said, James, you wanted to come on so much. It's clear that you have a passion for this game. What was your first impressions with this game? Like, what does this game mean to you? Where were you at this time in life?
Man, that's a good question, because you said it was 2011?
Yeah.
Man. So at that time, I've been married, 3 years? 3 years. So I mean, early in my married life, and so I'm just out of college. So I'm just trying to think, what was going on at that time in life. But as far as the game goes, I remember what was so impressive about it. It was the last game for the Wii, right? And there was so much hype behind it, because what made me really, I love Zelda. I was going to play it regardless. But what made me super excited about this game is that they said, this is the start of the Zelda timeline. They actually acknowledged the Zelda timeline existed. Yeah. And they said, this is where it all began. And I'm like, I've got to check this out, And, I know we're talking about spoilers here. So, when they said, and Ganon's not in this, you're like, what? Like, who are you going to fight against? And so, at least from a starting point, that's what intrigued me to get into this game, was just the story alone.
Very cool. Ryan, what about you, man? Where were you at this time when this game got announced, and what were your first experiences with it?
Well, my first memories of the game is a little fuzzy, but I remember my initial feelings on it, and I'm a very story-driven person, and so when I heard that this was the beginning, I had to play it. But even more so, like, this was finally the Zelda game where you got to use the Wiimote sword. And that was a huge thing for me. And it used the Wii Motion Plus. It was actually going to be pretty accurate. And I was just stoked to finally feel that. And in fact, it's like going through the whole game, like, I felt that power. And I felt like, oh, well, I'm having trouble. I can't seem to hit these guys. I need to really hone my actions and be really careful and precise. And I started doing better. Like, if I actually applied myself, I felt like I was actually using like a sword and trying to use mechanics and stuff. And it was like, this feels right. This feels how I want to feel in a Zelda game and in a sword fighting game. And that just, it spoke to me so loudly and so greatly.
Yeah. I know for me, this is kind of this game actually, when I think about it, it actually is a crucial part in my gaming life because this is the game that really kind of got me back into hardcore gaming. To be honest, this game snuck up on me. Like in my life, I had just graduated high school. I was in my band. We were playing lots of shows, getting ready to go on tour. And I had just gotten out of, like I said, high school. I played football my whole life. So like my mindset was not on games, but I'd say at the start of the Wii era, I was there, got the Wii for Christmas. The first year it came out, I played Twilight Princess. And I'd say probably after the second year of the Wii, I became a casual gamer. I never stopped playing games. I'd get a game for like my birthday and I'd get 1 or 2 games for Christmas, but then that was it. I'd get like the main games. I didn't follow it year round. I didn't know all the details. I didn't know everything to know like the way we are now in this community. Like I didn't know every little thing when it was announced. Gaming became a back burner because once I beat a game, I wouldn't touch a game again until my birthday, which is in October. So that's how it was. It was kind of fall and winter was the only time I'd game and it went away. So at this point I'm out of high school. And I had just gotten engaged and, I had a full-time job and because I didn't go, I guess I did part-time at Ivy Tech College, community college here in Indiana. And, my focus started to come back to gaming a little bit. So, when I don't remember exactly how I found out about Skyward Sword. I think it was around that E3 time again. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember E3, and I started to, just look into what was coming, and I saw new Zelda, and to me, it was like, man, this snuck up out of nowhere. I'm like, in my mind, mentally, like literally, this was like I don't remember any hype for this game, like how Breath of the Wild is. Like I don't remember like everyone talking about it because I wasn't there. I just saw it, and I literally saw it right the summer, like right before it was about to come out, I think. And so for me, I was like, whoa, there's a new Zelda game, huh? Why wasn't this as built up as big as what Twilight Princess is what I was thinking. But I guess in reality it was, I just wasn't there for it. So after that summer, I replayed Twilight Princess again for the second time, and I beat it all the way through. And I got a 3DS for my birthday finally. I never had a 3DS. I got Ocarina of Time 3D. I was re-diving back in, and my obsession that I had put on hiatus for a while was coming back from Nintendo. And then I remember just playing these other games to get me built up because I asked for Skyward Sword for Christmas, and I could not wait to get my hands on this game. And all I remember mainly was I got engaged that time of year. I was playing a crap ton of Zelda, and I was listening to a ton of 4 Years Strong, the band. So that's about my life around that 2011. So yeah, this game really means a lot to me just because it just brought me back into everything. That's where I was. So
awesome. And I want to say we're glad to have you back, back to the Nintendo community.
You're welcome.
And one thing I just thought of talking about the launch and the hype of it. I remember I had to pre-order the game in advance because I wanted to make sure I got the special edition. So I got the gold Wii remote with the helium symbol on it, right? And I got the soundtrack. And of course, years later through Club Nintendo, which, no longer exists, I got the gold nunchuck to go with it. So now I got my gold nunchuck and my gold Wii.
You're so lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I love those two things, right? I still have them, still use them all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I didn't pre-order any of that because I didn't know any of that crap was coming out. Like I said, I just got the regular standard version I got for Christmas from my parents. So that's really cool.
I remember that Zelda year was a big deal because the new Zelda was coming out, right? And if you pre-ordered the special edition, you got a soundtrack because for the first time they had the Zelda concert going around the country.
Yeah,
because it was a big anniversary of Zelda, and I just remember how huge that was. I'm like, this is amazing. They're playing Zelda music, and I still have that soundtrack. I keep the CD, in its case, but I've got it on my MP3 player. Still listen to it. It's awesome.
It's a long soundtrack too, isn't it?
I think it's only like 6 or 7 tracks. It's just part of the show.
Oh, okay, gotcha. The actual soundtrack for Skyward Sword is like really long, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of tracks on it.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of soundtracks, I just did a write up on Skyward Sword last week because we did a top 10 Wii games list, and just part of the reason I wanted to come on the show, I made this list, put it out there on YouTube in the written content and all that, and my number one game was, spoilers, Skyward Sword on the Wii. My number one game on the Wii was Skyward Sword for a lot of the reasons we've mentioned already. The motion control is amazing. The story is fantastic. But the other thing is the soundtrack. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword has my favorite Zelda soundtrack of all time, hands down. I absolutely love the theme song for that Zelda, and how it's fully orchestrated. One of the most memorable things that entire game for me is the soundtrack. So
very nice. Did you play any demos of it, guys, beforehand? Like before you actually owned it, or was your first time playing this game was the day you got it?
That was my first introduction. Was the day I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Same here.
Okay.
100%.
I actually remember going to a Casa Tamal here on the north side of town, northeast, with my fiance at the time, and there was this. Every holiday season, they'd always have this big middle section in the mall, and it was all Nintendo. They'd have all the games. You could test out everything, the 3DSs, the Wiis. And I actually played the Skyward Sword demo there, and I was blown away. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. I'm like, man, Nintendo's doing an awesome job advertising, they have this in the mall stuff. I wish they would have had this when I was a kid, So that was really cool to have that hands-on experience like that for me. So I was pre-pumped before I actually got the game. I had a little practice.
Sure. And I will say, all you people that live in bigger cities are completely spoiled, because me in small town Ohio, USA, you don't get any of that stuff. No special, Nintendo coming to my city, none of that.
Well, you're not too far, so
right.
I'm telling you, when there's events like this, man, you got to just come on over. You're welcome in our home.
You'll welcome me with open arms.
Absolutely. Did you ever go to an E3 Best Buy event over the past 2 or 3 summers ago?
I tried, but at the time I couldn't get anyone, because the closest Best Buy to me is over 45 minutes away. So I just never. I think it was during the day when I had work or something, so I just couldn't get around to doing it. Because I remember that one year that it was Smash and Mario Kart, it was all these really big games, and I really wanted to go.
Wind Waker HD, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. Well, man, if they do that again this year, you know what? Seriously, drive out here, make a road trip, take the day off or a couple of days off, hang out with Ryan and I. We'll do a live show. We'll go down there. We'll videotape it, put it on YouTube, collaboration, and we'll have a blast.
That would be awesome.
So those are my first memories. But guys, okay, it's James, you said on your video, you had a lot of feedback, negative feedback.
Yes.
That was your number one game. And
yes,
let's make this.
Even my fellow co-hosts, when I told them my number one game was, they're like, "Ouch! Why did you do that?" And I'm like, I said in my video and in my write-up, I explained it. I said why.
Right. And let's go ahead and Ryan, talk about what everyone hated about this game. What was the issues that people disliked?
It's Nintendo. That's why people don't like it.
Pretty much, they do good. Everyone hates it.
I never got it because I enjoyed it so much. The idea, the imagination that it brought out when you used your Wiimote as a sword. But people didn't like that mechanic. They didn't like that they couldn't just play with traditional controller. And I was like, but this is an experience. You can't get this anywhere else. Why are you upset about this? I don't understand. But
the freaking Wii.
You were forced to do a gimmick, and I'm like, but it was an awesome experience.
It worked.
I couldn't understand it. I didn't connect that. Also, it was very disjointed. It wasn't a huge open world like Breath of the Wild. It had patches that you could go visit, but none of it was connected. It felt like it wasn't this huge world, but just it was very limited. And a lot of the landscapes were kind of barren. and that was kind of only 2. But at the same time, you're going to a land that hadn't really been like super inhabited by humans,
right?
Because of all the destruction that Demise has caused.
Right.
So that I could write off too, but everybody else kind of that had gripes about it saw that as flaws in the game.
I think
that was just being lazy or something.
I can agree that the one part that I didn't like was the giant sky. When you fly around in the sky, like it was empty and like it was boring. Like there was all these little islands like, oh, what's over there? And it's like literally nothing. There's a giant island out there and you go there and there's nothing. There was a lot of nothingness in the sky. So I think that part was boring. I do agree with that. But that's not enough for me to not play this game. Okay.
Right.
You bring up a good point, though, like the flying mechanic. That exhilarating feeling the first time you jump off the island and a Loftwing catches you and you go flying. Like, that is just an awesome feeling to just like fly off and just like hop on a bird and just fly off into the distance. Like, that was a great feeling. Now, the mechanics use the motion controls, and I would say that could be a little annoying, but just it was exhilarating just to do that run, jump off a cliff, and then something catch you, just like Lord of the Rings style.
It was really cool.
Yeah, and talking about man, now I lost my train of thought. We were talking about why with the 1-to-1 motion control, right? When the Wii launched, right, and we got Wii Bowling and we got Wii Sports and everything. What was the number one complaint people had? It's not true 1-to-1 motion control. Why isn't this true 1-to-1 motion control? And like Red Steel, remember? Red Steel. People, this isn't 1-to-1 motion control. So what does Nintendo do? They reinvent the Wii Remote. They add the Wii Motion Plus attachment. You guys remember that for the extra inside the Wii Remote, and you get true 1-to-1 motion control. So when Zelda comes out, it is full true 1-to-1 motion control. As long as you're not swinging your arms in big motions like an idiot, it's true 1-to-1 motion control.
Right.
And what do people complain about? This isn't the 1-to-1 motion control I wanted. So Nintendo can't please anybody. I feel like no matter what they do, people are going to complain.
You're right. It is. There's always going to be a complainer.
Always something.
And guys, like people listening to this, please, I just encourage you, learn the controls. Like just, and I know this might sound harsh, but just get over it. Like I miss the days where like you had to just deal with what you had. And because we wanted to game and we wanted to play, we didn't live in this microwave society where we could buy a game every freaking week. People made the best of what they had and they got good at it. Even if it was terrible, they got good at it. You know, if a game like GoldenEye 64 came out today playing like that and got the graphics they had, people would probably hate it and they would not give it the time of day. But back in the day, it was the greatest thing on earth for that time. And you're really cutting yourself short if you do not play this game because you do not want to learn the controls for the game. Right. And go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, and the thing with the motion control, as long as you're doing gentle movement, it really is true 1-to-1. Like it works. It works really well. I mean, swinging the sword and using like the flying the beetle and the Loftwing and all that. It's actually very, very accurate. It's really nice. It's not
the technology's issue. It's the operator.
Right. Exactly.
If you can't get it. So just take the time, be patient, practice with it, get a little good with it, because you're really cutting yourself short of experiencing an amazing game. Everyone wants to hate this thing, but a lot of people like to look at reviews. And I'm not one to always look at the reviews before a game comes out, but I didn't give this game a 10 out of 10. I mean, it was in the 90s on Metacritic.
Right.
So it was...
And it may be just the hype, at the time when I finished it. But I remember when I finished Skyward Sword, I thought to myself, I don't want to play a Zelda game like with buttons again. I like swinging the sword. I like, like you mentioned earlier, you feel that power of swinging the sword. There was nothing else like that. But this is amazing. I mean, in the same way I felt Metroid Prime using the pointer controls to shoot. I'm like, the Wii was amazing. Like it gave us such great control, but people didn't want to take the time to learn how to use it properly.
I 100% agree.
I did want to bring up the topic of like characters. Like in character development and
Groose.
Yes, Groose. At the beginning of the game, I hated Groose, and he was meant to be a disliked character.
Right, exactly.
He was this like jock, like just jerk and bully, and you didn't like him, but then like his world got turned upside down, and he actually turned into this really awesome character that you actually like cared for and felt for.
I want to say I'm still sad he didn't make it into Hyrule Warriors. People were requesting him in that game, and it would have been awesome, right? But he wasn't there.
I would like to see that. Yes, I'm hoping for a gruesome Amiibo, you know.
Gruesome Amiibo. He was annoying. I didn't really like him that much.
And, you were talking about characters to kind of, spring off of that. This is the first Zelda game where I actually cared about Zelda as a character.
Yeah.
Because in the other game, Zelda was just a princess you save. Just like in Mario, Peach is there so you can save her, right? I mean, outside the Paper Mario series, she doesn't really have much depth. But this game was the first time they turned Zelda into a real person.
Yep,
that was
absolutely.
The relationship between her and Link was great. I mean, as childhood friends, you actually care about finding her and getting back to her.
Right.
No other Zelda game ever did that. It's something so simple, right? I feel like Skyward Sword is not really the first time, but like in a way, it's the first time they kind of took Zelda's storyline seriously. Because like we have this timeline, we have this storyline we've been weaving. Let's make it count. This is the beginning. This is important. So they actually built, because I feel like a lot of the Zelda games, they build it for the dungeon, right? They build it for the battles. They build it for the weapons. Skyward Sword, I felt like they built it for the story.
Yes,
they did.
You hit that on the head. Like that is so right. And in relation to Zelda, like it takes me back to the original instruction manual for Ocarina of Time. It showed a picture of Kid Link and Kid Zelda sitting together, and Navi kind of flying around. They're just sitting in a field, like chilling. And like that was like, I want to see them have this like this childhood friendship. I want to see that play out. And then I got to actually see that come to fruition in Skyward Sword, and it was just like, thank you, Nintendo. This is what I've always wanted to see.
Yeah, what I jotted down, what I really liked about this game was like this was the first Zelda game we got where they weren't on separate social classes. Like this is the genesis of the Zelda franchise. This is how it all starts. Okay, so there is no monarchy, there is no kingdom built up. Like they all live on this island together. Like they're a family essentially, and whether they're blood related or not, I don't know. But Zelda's not some like popular girl on campus up there, and Link's like the loser. He's not he always comes off as like the pagan boy who ends up saving the princess in all the other games. And this is the first time. Well, because she's not a princess. Like
right.
She is a regular person at this Sky Academy with Link. They're on the same social status, and I always thought that was really cool. So they were friends, just like what you guys were talking about, and it allowed for them to really show compassion for each other, and like a genuine compassion, not just like, oh, he saved me, what a good guy. I hope he does. I hope he lives well.
Let me make you a cake.
Yeah. They even show a lot of hints of like romance between. There's a sexual attraction between Link and Zelda. You can tell in this game, like they actually, they don't ever cross that line of like kissing or anything like that, but you could tell that there's like, they have feelings for each other without actually crossing that line. And I don't think really any of the other Zelda games do that, at least not very well or so clear, if they do.
Right. I feel like Link is a character in general. It's like, why is he saving Princess Zelda? Oh, it's his destiny. Like that's just, they don't really tell. Like, oh, it's your destiny to do this. And it's like, well, that's okay, but like, what's my motivation?
Right. Absolutely. Well, and let's dive into the story here a little bit more. We already talked about how this is the genesis of it. Like this is how it all begins. I've told you guys all before, I am a huge story buff, and this is why I love Zelda so much, because they all connect over hundreds of thousands of years. They all connect. So timeline-wise, you mentioned this earlier, they acknowledge the timeline. This is all on the same timeline as all the other timelines because there was no split yet. This had happened way before Ocarina of Time. So this starts everything off in Zelda. This is so everything that's going to happen in this game happens like everything that you've played in the future games in the timeline is all because of what happens in this game. Mm-hmm. And that blows my mind. Let's start off with talking about the sword. Okay, the sword. You create the Master Sword in this game. Like the Master Sword is like the legendary sword that in all the other games is legend. That it is like, oh, the ancient sword. It is hidden somewhere, and it's been around for ages. This game, the ancient sword did not exist. This is when the ancient sword was created. So just imagine all these other Zelda games: Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, The Wind Waker. A Link to the Past and the very original Legend of Zelda. All these games are using the same sword that was created in this game. It started off as the goddess's sword, and you have to build it up by powering it up throughout the game, and you create the Master Sword. It like nothing is established. You got to realize like you are establishing what Zelda is in this game, and I thought that was awesome. Like I thought that was so cool. It wasn't like, when am I going to get the Master Sword? You had to forge it, and that blew me away, especially when you actually complete the tasks to do it.
Right, and with now one thing I will say that I have is a complaint of this Zelda is his companion, right? Now I always called her Fee, right? But they say it's Fi, like Wi-Fi. So
I'm not sure either.
Because I always said Fee. I've always said Fee, but when I look it up online, they say it's Fi. Because even Nintendo came out and says like Wi-Fi, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird.
Okay,
but,
whatever.
Yes. But for Fee, like she was too talkative. Like she was too over the top, robotic, telling you what to do, where to go, all that. Like it was too much.
She's just like Navi. Awesome. Hey, listen.
Right, exactly. But it was awesome how she kind of, well, like I said, spoilers. I mean, she's a major part of the story.
She is. She's a lot more than that little stupid, hey, listen, fairy. Right. She actually does play a key part. Yeah, she's stupid. I mean, you ask everybody. Navi is stupid. No one likes Navi.
Quick little side note, though. You've heard Breath of the Wild, right? How much have you guys talked about Breath of the Wild on here? I don't want to like spoil anything if you guys don't talk about it.
I mean, we've talked time to time. I guess that shows that James doesn't listen to the show very much. So.
Well, the only reason I say that is they've announced there are no fairies in Breath of the Wild. Like you don't have a fairy companion. There's no fairy companion.
I had not heard that. Yes. That's crazy. Yeah. Is there a companion at all?
No.
Well, your wolf.
But you have to find them, but they're not there long term. They're just kind of.
That is kind of crazy. Wow, that is cool. That is cool. I did not know that.
Yep. That's why I didn't know if you guys wanted to know that or not. I'm like, I don't know if I should say this.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, there's different types of spoilers. I care to know. Like, I don't want to know like the meat of the story. I want to figure that out myself. Exactly.
Because when I heard the fairy thing, I'm like, that's crazy. Because he always starts off as the boy with the fairy, right? And to not have that.
Well, and especially it's going to be interesting what timeline it falls on eventually when we find out,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out eventually, but...
So, back to Skyward Sword.
Yeah, Skyward Sword.
It took us down that little rabbit hole there, so my bad.
Won't go down that rabbit hole. So, the Master Sword, you forge it, and this is the sword that you use to destroy evil with throughout the rest of the Zelda games, or at least most of them when you do get the Master Sword. Now, I thought you don't even have this was the one they introduced the mechanic of getting different shields too, different styles of shields, and that it always bugged me because I was like, where's the Hylian shield? But you know what? I mean, it makes sense because there is no Hylia yet, I guess that there is the goddess and it's based on her, and you do get like late in the game, which was very, very good when you accomplished it. But
you felt complete. You felt like a complete Link.
Right.
Well, you do, and it's funny that you mentioned that. Like, because this game starts off like the music is not familiar when you start the game off. You know how like in all the other Zelda games, as soon as you go out into the big field, it's like Da, 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 da. It's the same Zelda theme over and over again. That's the hero song. Okay, when you see Zelda, when you finally go up to her, it plays her lullaby. It's always the same theme songs in all the other games. But guess what? In this game, we talked about the music earlier. It doesn't start out that way. Like there is no recognizable song. It's all different. It's all new. When they show Zelda, it's not her.
Da,
Yeah.
da, da, da,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that song. That's my favorite Zelda song. It's so good.
But it's all different.
Right.
And then as you progress through the story, the deeper you get, like Zelda figures out who she is. She is actually a reincarnation of Hylia, the goddess. And that explains that. Like they explain it in the game. And essentially you're trying to save her. That's why Demise has got his minions chasing her. But once you figure it out, once you get the Master Sword and everything, you get your green. Does he have the green tunic throughout the whole game?
I think so, because it's his knight uniform. Remember?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It starts in the academy. You're correct. But he gets that sword, and I think shortly after the sword is when you can find the shield. But they unlock the song, the Hero of Times. Not time. The hero song finally plays. I guess it's called the Hero of Time in the game because you are actually traveling through time in this game. Ironically, once you get late into the game and you start to forge the sword and you start to go through this journey, you're the first Link. Okay, there is no Link before you. You were not reincarnated. Like your spirit is not like this is the original Link, and so he doesn't. Not that any of them know that they're reincarnations or anything like that, but they. This is starting it all. There is no curse per se yet, and you hear the song come to fruition as you play the game. So once you get the sword and you've accomplished this big thing, like Link has finally like stepped into that role of like I'm the hero. Like I have to save Zelda. Like
The first hero.
Right. He's literally the first hero. And it's so cool how they build up to that. You know, it's like that theme song that we hear through all the other Zelda games starts here. Starts after you get the Master Sword. You're creating the story of Zelda in your own hands, literally with the Wiimote, you know?
That's right.
It blows me away. And then that Zelda lullaby comes in later in the game. Once she figures out who she is, once you like start to have them deep moments with Zelda after all this journey stuff has happened, everything starts here. And that is what I love so much about this game. You know, obviously we're not explaining the whole game scene for scene. And there's so much we could talk about, but the core essence of the whole franchise starts here. And it is so different than just listening to this episode and hearing us talking about it, that for you to actually experience it yourself and to see how everything has happened. Because I guess, you know, when you go down to the land, essentially like this is how the story progresses, how it's the genesis of that. But there's the story at the start of the game actually explains like, it's not like the goddesses created Earth and boom, humans were born in the sky. There was actually a great war from Demise, and he was trying to get the Triforce, and he was trying to kill all the humans. So in order to save her people, they sent them up into the sky. And this is actually, we read in the beginning, this is like hundreds of years later after that, those events had happened since the creation of like the Earth per se. So this is the genesis from that, but a lot of time has passed and they are foreign to the ground. You know, like everything on land, like they don't know what to expect. It's literally going into the unknown for Link. So it gives you this, it's almost like a feel of Metroid, wouldn't you say, Ryan? Like it's even though it's not outer spacey, but technically you're Link going down to the surface of a planet that you don't know what to expect. Like
it's very desolate. You don't know what you're gonna face. I imagined it to be very empty down there. I was surprised to actually find some people, like very mysterious to find Impa. So, now we kind of danced around it
Good.
We've danced around it a little bit with what comes from, I guess, the development of the story, and like the birth of the evil force that is Ganon, the Link and Zelda being born generations in the different generations, and this all came from Demise. Now, kind of refresh my memory. How does Demise develop? Like, I know he's kind of an imperfect form, and he has his sword that is his minion that's doing his bidding. Is that what it is?
Right. Girahim is kind of like his fee.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I hear that later he becomes Girahim becomes. Now correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Vaeti, is that how you pronounce his name? The wind god.
Oh,
I hear that's what his sword becomes. Is that entity?
Okay.
I've never heard that, to be honest.
We'll take your word for it.
I had heard that of course Demise became Ganon, but the other villain of the Zelda series was from his sword, essentially, his wind.
I mean, that makes sense in a way, because I mean, there's in Four Swords Adventure, Vaeti is back and he actually resurrects Ganondorf.
Yes.
But I've never heard that. So everyone, you can Google it, and if Ryan's wrong, you can send the hate mail to him. So
I'll say, make sure to let him know.
Yes, let him know. But that's interesting. I had never heard that, but yeah, he is essentially his minion, his number one right-hand guy that does all of his dirty work for him. But Demise was sealed away in the sacred sealed grounds, whatever, before when Hylia sent everybody up to the sky, and then she sealed him away and locked him in there. And then once like that seal started to get weakened, Demise was able to send his minion dude out to basically look for Zelda and to get her. And that's how the whole story starts to develop. And it takes I don't know. He kind of he sacrifices himself, I think, for Demise to become back to life fully. I guess I will say that real quick. On side note, Demise, what they call the giant beast that was supposed to be Demise.
I was trying to think of the same thing. I can't remember. The guy, you chop his toes off, right? And he comes.
Yeah.
You hack his toes till they explode.
I have to say, I thought his design was ugly. It was stupid. I thought they could have done a little better. Giant.
That's my least favorite part of the game.
I agree.
Giant toes. Like, come on. Seriously.
You hit his toes, he falls over and he wiggles on the ground, and electricity comes out. It's just bizarre. Yeah.
It's stupid. They could have done better there. There's a complaint for you guys. Make y'all happy. But I will say that part always stressed me out. Like, it was an intense part. Like, you had to hurry because if he gets to the top, it's like game over.
Game over. Yeah. It was so frustrating too when that happened. Yeah.
Oh, well, I actually don't think
he'll hit you off the mountain and you'll fall away to the bottom.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
That's
you have to run up there and this is the first game you have a stamina meter. So it's you have to kind of pace yourself and stop. Like, it got very stressful, especially the part when you had to be Groot and you had to like hit him with bombs.
Oh yeah, right.
So it really added an extra element to it. So fun part of the game, stressful part, and you felt good and a relief when you won, but man, he was ugly. They could have done a little better job there.
There was no diversity. You just kind of had to do it like 3 different times, and you had to climb the mountain every time, and it was repetitive, and it was a chore.
Yeah, and he was ugly, so you had to keep staring at this ugly thing every time and chop his toes down. Character-wise, this game did introduce some like new characters, like creatures per se, and species that you don't ever see again. Like, there are creatures that, like the mole guys, we've never seen them in any other Zelda game, and I hope that like they don't bring them back ever, to be honest, because like they haven't been in any other Zelda game, and I'm a guy who really is about continuity, and like it would really bug me if like all of a sudden in Breath of the Wild, here they are again after thousands of years of never being seen, unless they explain some reason why they've been gone for thousands of years. That would bug me. But you saw kind of like maybe like early form evolutions of maybe like of creatures like in the forest area and things like that develop into that you saw where they were going to develop. I mean, even the birds, like people, I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but that they might have been like Zoras, maybe they became the Zoras or the bird-like people we see in Breath of the Wild.
Okay, or the ones in Wind Waker, right?
Yeah. Well, those were Zoras. Zoras developed into the birds.
Oh, okay.
In Wind Waker, but like the birds, like it's speculated, like the Loftwings evolved over time into a different type of creature, and it's interesting because there are Zoras in Breath of the Wild, and there's also these bird people, so it's very well possible.
For reference, the demise was called The Imprisoned.
Oh yeah, The Imprisoned.
Call, yes.
That's right. Yep.
That is right. Yes. And Twilight Princess, remember the temple in the sky.
Oh right. Yeah.
Those people actually I think it's been rumored that people speculate that could have been the evolution form of the Loftwing.
The ugly Ukus.
Right. But they're like a high-tech society, you know, which is possible. I mean, very well possible. I believe the Loftwings are considered to be highly intelligent creatures. So very well possible. But towards the end of this game here, when you get to Demise, you beat him. You know, you get the fight, and it's really an intense fight. It's really kind of scary because it's not Ganondorf. You're literally, I mean, almost kind of is like you're fighting the devil himself. I mean, right. Demise is about the end.
He is a demon entity. He's a demon king.
Right.
So.
He is basically Satan you're fighting, and it's very scary. And once you beat him, guys, this is my favorite part of the game. I mean, this sets it up. I have it right up here. It says, with his final breaths, Demise vows that his hatred and the curse of the demon tribe will be reborn in a cycle without end as it evolves, cursing those with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. After Demise's body dissolves, his residual consciousness is absorbed into the Master Sword before the weapon is sealed away, so the fiend can completely dissolve over time. Demise's curse seems to signify the reasons for Ganondorf and the other villain existences and the tribulation that they cause for Link and Zelda's various descendants. This idea also supported that Demise's similar appearance to Ganondorf's frequent appearances throughout the series. That was a statement by Onanuma himself right there. But I got that from like Zelda Wikipedia, whatever. But right there, just those words. I mean, that was the pinnacle point for me in this game. That was like, oh my gosh, this game is amazing. Mm-hmm. When he said that in his final breaths, I'll read it one more time. Demise vows and his hatred and he curses the curse of the Demon King will be reborn in a cycle without end as it evolves, cursing those with the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. Guys, like that's the whole story right there. That explains why Ganondorf comes back. That explains why he can never. You always wonder, like, why can't this dude die? You saw Link stab him in the. You see him stab him in the freaking head in Wind Waker and turns to stone. I mean, you see him in Ocarina of Time. He slices him, stabs him in the head, and he comes back. I mean, it's like this guy. It's a curse, and that's why Link always comes back. When Link comes back in Princess Zelda, like generations later, it's because the cycle's starting over. So it's like you can't have good without evil. You can't have evil without good. So if Link and Zelda exist, there's going to be an evil presence. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't have one without the other. All three have to be there. It's the
Triforce, right? I mean, it's the Triforce. Right. It's what? It's power, wisdom, and
courage.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, they each represent one piece of the Triforce, right? So you can't have one without the other.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why Ganondorf can never solely rule all of Hyrule, because as long as he's around, the other two are going to come back,
Right.
whether they lose or not, since the decline where he lost timeline. So, I mean, that I just loved that. That part gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, guys. It's that it connects it all. It's like, oh my gosh, the puzzle piece has been put in place.
Now, many people argue, did Nintendo have this planned all along? I don't know if they did or not, but one thing's for sure, they did a great job setting everything up. Like, here's this story we've established over all these games, over all these years. How do we pull it together, right? And I think what they did was great. Like, they actually pulled it off. They made a beginning to the story of The Legend of Zelda. And, they pulled it off. I'm still amazed by that.
Well, whether they did or not, I don't really think they did at first. I think around Ocarina of Time, they started to plan sequels to Ocarina of Time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when people got the idea of there's a timeline in our head. And then obviously they heard about it and knew about it. But I think they saw the growth of gaming and how people really cared about stories and connectivity. And then I think they're like, well, this is a perfect series to do that with. So I do think they came to the idea later. Like you said, probably around this time of Skyward Sword, when they decided to embrace it, because that's when they like you talked about earlier, James, like they acknowledged the timeline for like the first time themselves. Mm-hmm. But before it was like Nintendo has a secret timeline that they don't share with anybody is what it was before.
It's written on a napkin somewhere in Miyamoto's pocket. You never know.
Right. So I think that they came to the idea later, but they are the potters to this series, and they can mold it however the heck they want. And I love that it connects. I know some people don't like that. I love the timeline. I do too.
I'm all for it. It's awesome.
It is. It really connects. Even the side games, they add in an explanation of why the side games happen, even if they don't have anything to do with the main game, like the main series. Mm-hmm. They talk about when it happened, what link it was, all that.
That's why the Historia History, what is that called?
Zelda Hyrule Historia.
Yeah, Hyrule Historia. That's why that's so great, because it's got the whole timeline in there, broken down by the 3 splits or whatever it is, and it's great. Like it makes sense. It all sorry, somehow they got it all to connect. I have no idea how they did it, but they made it all work, and it all makes sense.
Well, and I for sure, and I think that because they're trying to connect it all, and I think they do that with their future games now. I just think that it makes for a better overall story. I think they both emphasize on the story even more, and that's why. Real quick, when we wrap this up here, just connecting it to Breath of the Wild. I wanted to talk about Skyward Sword because this was the last main Zelda game that was new that we had on a home console. And it ended off the Wii, but technically this is ending off the Wii U too, because there's a Wii U version, but it's also launching off a new system and a new generation for Nintendo, a new Nintendo. I think this game is going to have a big story to tell. Because when I saw the first trailer with Ryan at E3 last year when we watched it, like you saw this barren wasteland, and you're like, all I could ask was like, what happened? Like, why is I see these landmarks that I know are from these certain games. Like, why is it just what happened? Why is this destroyed? Like, and that's where they hooked me from when I saw that. There's always all this build up, and I couldn't wait to find out about Zelda. Of course, I was going to play it as Zelda, but when I saw the trailer, it was like, I'm hooked. Give me this game now. Like, I want to play this game now.
Right. It honestly, with Breath of the Wild, I knew I was hyped for it, but when they showed the final trailer at the Nintendo event in January, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was everything I wanted and more. Like, I didn't think I could be any more hyped for that game, and then I saw that trailer.
It really added to it, for sure. Ryan, go ahead. Any closing thoughts here on the game?
Well, at the point of recording, it's practically 2 days away. I mean, the day's almost done, like for us on Tuesday. So, like, it's so close. We're going to really get into this. And I'm beyond hope. Like, Legend of Zelda has been in my dreams all week. Yeah. I've seriously been dreaming about playing this game, and I'm so ready.
I'm ready too. You ready, James?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's the only game I bought. I mean, at least as of right now, it's the only game I bought. So
I did buy Bomberman. Awesome. I'm going to get Snipper Clips. Cool. But mainly, it's going to be the first game I crack open and put the most time into.
Right. And for Snipper Clips, actually, that game looks great. But it all depends on if I can get my wife interested in it or not.
Yeah.
Have you been showing her the trailers?
There's no online multiplayer. There's no single player. It's just local couch co-op. So I'm like, I got to make sure I can play it.
My wife hates me when I spend money, and she was there. She was with me as I purchased the final, purchase on my Switch and Zelda, and she knows I'm helping Ryan. I owe him some stuff, and I'm going to help him finish paying off his Zelda. So she knows all that, but I kept showing her these Snipper Clip trailers, and she's like, okay, okay. I think we can sacrifice $20 when you get it. So I'm looking forward to playing Zelda all day Friday, and when she gets home from work, then it's going to be family time, and we're going to put on some Snipper Clips. So that's my Friday evening.
See, my like I said, my Thursday, I'm going to my brother-in-law's. It's going to be super late when I get home, depending on how long the line is, if we can even get him a system. Because what's probably going to happen, I'm going to come home Thursday night, or technically real early Friday morning, with either a Pro Controller or Joy-Cons, and I won't be able to use them for a few hours. And I'll just sleep until the mail comes, and I'll be good to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't have your stuff, we can just turn on this Google chat here, and you can watch Ryan and I play.
Thanks.
Hey, buddy,
look how great this is.
Yeah.
Don't you wish you were playing this right now?
It feels great.
The HD Rumble, man, you got to feel it.
Wait till you feel it.
Awesome. Well, James, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you?
Right here in good old Ohio.
Just next door.
Right. As for Life of Gaming, like we mentioned top of the show, we put out a podcast every Sunday. We just had our 2-year anniversary in February. But every Sunday it goes up. It's on iTunes, Google Play Store, and SoundCloud. You can find it all those places. We also have a video version up on our YouTube channel. So just look up Life of Gaming on YouTube. You can find us there. We also put out other content. Today, I actually put out a video of my top 5 most anticipated launch games for the Switch. Out of the 12 games, I got my top 5 on there. We are also finishing up this week. We've been doing a video series called Road to Nintendo Switch. We've been counting down the top 10 games of every Nintendo home console. The last one, by the time this goes up, the last video should be up for the Wii U. So we'll get that up. So just make sure to check our YouTube page for that stuff. The only other thing, we have written versions of stuff as well. We go into much more detail versus the video. Right now, the web address is lifeofgamingpodcast.wordpress.com. Here in the future, we're going to hopefully shorten that URL a little bit, but right now, that's where you can find us. We're on Facebook, on Twitter, @LifeOfGamingPod. And then for myself, if you want to find me, on Twitter or Twitch or any Nintendo device or Xbox. Where else am I? Everywhere else. Jamester0722.
Awesome.
And that's everything.
Well, I hope guys go check them out. They're awesome. I started listening to their show a while back, and I was hooked from the moment I turned them on. I have this thing where I have a list of podcasts I had, and I always debate, should I add another podcast? Because sometimes I get behind on my podcast, and I have this laundry list of podcasts, so I'm I kind of have my main ones, but I decided to check them out, and oh my gosh, I was so impressed with the episode I heard. It was about does power really matter between the consoles, and I was, oh my gosh, I was dude, these guys know their stuff. This is I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the other companies too, because I'm always Nintendo, so I felt a little smarter after that. So
awesome. Well, I'm glad, and thank you for having me on the show, man. I've had a great time tonight talking about Zelda, because as you know, on Life of Gaming, We got one guy who's diehard PlayStation. And I've kind of always been the Nintendo guy. We had another guy who's big on Xbox. It's kind of like we try to cover all the systems. But it's nice actually lately with Switch coming out because we're talking about Nintendo, which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah.
But just to come on and talk about Zelda, love it. It's been awesome, man.
Well, thank you for coming on. And we're definitely going to have James back in the near future, guys, very soon too. So, but James wants to tell everyone where they can find this game today. If they want to go try it out. If we've changed their mind, convince them to do it.
Fine. For Legends of
Skyward Sword. Yeah.
Skyward Sword, right. Mainly if you want to get it, it's on the Wii U Virtual Console. You can find it there. But also you can get physical version, which I don't think is that expensive. I don't know. Is it? Because I know Zelda games are normally pretty pricey.
I think I saw it online for like $40-some. And then I saw it on Walmart online for like $200.
Oh, wow. Because I know the eShop version on the Wii U is what, $20?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the best place you're going to find it. I'm never letting go of my copy. Like I said, I got my soundtrack and everything in it.
Yeah.
Wii remote, totally keeping it. The only question is what do I do with my Wii U once the Switch comes out? Because I only have so many HDMI ports on my TV, right?
Don't sell it. Just keep it in storage.
Luckily,
just
you
hold
can
on
play
to
it
it.
on the gamepad. So
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's very true. And there's games on the Wii U. I know they'll probably never come out again, like Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2. Like there's fantastic games on there that I don't think I'll be able to get anywhere else, so I have to.
Awesome. Ryan, why don't you do our due diligence for us, buddy?
thanks for listening to us on SoundCloud and iTunes. Check us out on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. If you want to shoot us an email, at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com.
All right, guys. Well, I think that is everything. We know these episodes have been a little bit longer, and it's a good thing. It's good conversation, and we hope that we hope you've enjoyed this Zelda series. If you actually have just started listening to us throughout this whole Zelda process, this is typically not our normal format. We don't usually cover just one series for like a whole month at a time. We are doing this because Breath of the Wild is right around the corner, and we've all been hyped for it, and we thought it'd be a really fun thing to do. But typically, we may cover Yoshi's Story one week, and then the next week we may cover, Smash Brothers or Wario Land. Who knows? We love to cover old Nintendo games that mean a lot to us. That we love to have guests on to bring a new game that maybe I didn't play or maybe Ryan didn't play, and just kind of spin our perspective on it. Because the main thing is we love to hear people's stories, and we want to hear your stories about games that you love. And if you are talking about a game that we announced that meant a lot to you, let us know, because we want to talk about that on the show. So once the Switch gets here, we are going to do a couple Switch episodes right away. So be looking for those. We'll be having a couple extra ones pop up in there just because of hands-on experiences and just our thoughts. We'll have an awesome guest next week as well too, to talk about more Switch stuff. But in general, we're be looking for us to get back to our normal format of changing topics up every week, and we hope that you continue to enjoy the show and keep gaming with us all. So we love you all and we appreciate you. So thank you very much. Get ready to go play Switch, because once you hear this podcast, it's basically here. So, all right, guys. I'll see you next time.
Merry Switchmas.
Bye.
Bye.